Hi friends, how are you doing? The prelims of SBI PO is approaching fast. It's the biggest exam of the season, SBI PO. How are you doing? Preparing? Well prepared? Already prepared because of IBPS PO? So what is it that you need to do at this stage? So the exam is very close and now you are in the final stages of preparation and this question keeps bothering you. What do I need to do now? Do more, take mock tests, revise, do some new stuff. So what do? First thing that you need to do is calm down. So many of you are a little troubled by the thought of your previous results and everything, the exams that you've taken. Don't think about it. It's done and dusted. Do not think about what will happen in this particular exam. No, don't think about it. Chhod do usko. Focus on the task at hand. What is that? Clearing the prelims of SBI at this stage, right? There's no other thing that can change at this point, right? So if you've taken an exam, it's done. Can you change that? The result? No. What will happen by thinking? Nothing. You just waste time. So what do you have to do? Think on what lies ahead. What lies ahead? The first hurdle now is SBI PO prelims. It's a huge exam. Focus on that. It's really important. How do I do that now? Look, if you talk about any competitive exam of this nature, any aptitude test, there are two aspects of your preparation. Two things. There is two things. One, preparing. Doing the subjects, doing your English, maths, reasoning, and all such stuff. That is one thing. That is thing number one. You do the concepts, you do the practice sheets, you do lectures and textbooks and exercise sheets and whatnot, and that's how you prepare. But this is not the only thing. So this used to be the only thing when we used to prepare for school exams, right? College even. But here, that's not the only thing. That's just the first thing. The second stage, and which at times becomes more important than the first stage, would be to convert this existing knowledge into marks, which is your test taking skills, which is really important when it comes to these aptitude based exams. Test taking skills. So I'll not call it mock tests. No, you kind of trivialize the whole thing by calling it mock tests. Mock test lagao, mock test lagao. No. This is honing your test taking skills, improving your test taking skills. Now at this stage, most of you are already done with thing number one. Right? Doing your subjects and everything. If you are not, then you are really adventurous. I wish you all the best, right? But most of you are already done through stage number one. So there is no use getting back to it again and again and feeling nervous about it and all those things. You've already taken IBPS PO, so I'm sure you're done with one. At this stage now, it's just focusing on two, honing your test taking skills. How do you do that? You know the tool already. So mock test is not the answer. Mock test is a tool that you use to hone your test taking skills. How do you do that? I'll just explain it very quickly, very briefly, and you'll understand. You take a mock test. Take any test series service provider, whatever appeals to you, whatever you like, just take anything. Take one mock test, and very seriously, very sincerely. Whenever you take any mock test, just remember this: you take it in exam-like conditions, at least from this stage. In exam-like conditions. What is the meaning of exam-like conditions? You have to sit in isolation. Nobody should disturb you. Nobody should knock on the door. Your mobile should not ring. And you should be just focused on the test for that 1 hour. For those 3 tests, 1 to 3 tests of 20 minutes each. English, maths, reasoning, right? So this is thing number one. That's what you have to do. You take the test, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. You look at the result. Is the job done now? No, it's not done. It's only half done. You have taken the test. The result is there in front of you. Right, you look at the result, at times you'll be happy, I got a 70 out of 100, you'll be sad, I got a 40 out of 100, like, it's like that, multiple feelings. Here you have to look at something else as well. So when you look at the scores and you say, I got say 30 out of 35 in maths and you're really happy, you have reason to be happy, you did well, but the job does not end here. You have to look at your percentile score as well. So when you look at the score sheet, just make sure that you look at both the things. You look at your absolute scores out of 35, 30 out of 100, right? And your percentile score. You understand what percentile score is? Percentile score is the percentage of the total population that has scored below you. So if you get a 92 percentile, it means that 92% of the total test takers have scored below you in that particular section or the overall test. Fine? That is the meaning of percentile. Now here, the good thing about percentile scores is that they give you a fair idea, a better idea of your performance, right? So if for example, you are very happy by scoring 30 out of 35 in quant in a mock test, fine, like we're really happy, it's a good score, sounds like a good score, and your percentile is just say 82, Just a hypothetical situation, right? What does that mean? It means that the test was easy. 18% of the test takers have scored more than 30. 82% is still below you, which is fine, which is good, which is really healthy. But 18% scored above you. It means that there is a scope to get above 30 in that particular mock test. On the contrary, it can happen that in another one, you get just 18 out of 35 in quant. Just an example. And you look at the percentile score and it turns out to be 95. It means what? That just 5% of the people are above 18 out of 35 in that particular test. It means what? The test was tough. So that is the reason that when we look at the scores, we should always look at the percentile scores. Also the percentile scores. You look at the absolute score, obviously you know that, but you look at the percentile scores. Without that, your analysis is absolutely incomplete. It doesn't tell me anything. So you tell me, sir, I got a 28 in the last test. This time I've got a 24. I am deteriorating. I would say, oh, it seems like that, but that doesn't mean anything. At 28, you could have scored a 95. At 24, you could have been at a 78, right? So talk or start talking in terms of percentile scores whenever you are discussing mock tests. This is really, really important. Now, what are good scores? If you ask me, sir, आप बता रहे हो, ज्ञान दे रहे हो, बताओ अच्छा स्कोर क्या है? If you are getting 95 percentile in a section, English, Maths, Reasoning, whatever, or in the overall test, so wherever you're getting a 95 percentile, it is very good. If you're getting above that, it's excellent, right? 99 would be great. But if you're getting a 95 percentile, it means that you are in the top 5% of the population. That's very good. You do not have to worry about that. If you're getting a score of 95 percentile, I'm not talking about absolute scores now, not the scores from 35, 30, 30, no. Percentile score. Percentile score of 97, 96, 95, any of the sections, you're doing good. If you're getting it consistently, you take 2-3 mock tests, you are consistently getting a 95 in English, say for example. English is sorted. Do not have to worry too much about it. You just have to keep doing those good things that you're doing in that mock test, right? It is done. If you are getting somewhere between 85 and 95, that is acceptable, right? But you have to make sure that you don't drop below it. So a score of like 80, 85 is also decent. I mean, at times, at the time exam, you can get much more. But yes, that, because you would ask me a number. So yes, these things can change drastically on the day of the actual exam. But if you ask me a number, you should try and get a 95, ideally, in all the sections and the overall thing, if you want to be like 100% sure. होना ही है यार, हो ही जाएगा. I would get a call. 80, 85 and above till 95 is okay. But that is that territory in which you would say, on a good day, I'm definitely through, but I might have a bad day as well. Right? You get the point. So what do you have to do? If you are in that bracket of 80, 85 to 95 percentile in any section or in the overall test, you have to look at that test and try and figure out what is going wrong. It's not that somebody who's getting above 95 don't have to do that. Yes, you also have to do that, but I'm talking specifically, more specifically about those people who are in that 50-50 kind of a zone. Yeah, at times I do well, at times I don't. So at times you will also feel like in a particular test I'll get a 95, in another one I get a 75. नहीं होता है ना, ऐसा भी होता है. So what do you have to do? You have to look at the tests very carefully. Now, in prelims, there are not too many difficult questions. So what is the meaning of looking at the test? The meaning of looking at the test would be, you look at the test to figure out where exactly did it go wrong. When, so say, for example, you get 96 in quant, 96 in English, percentile scores I'm talking about, and just 72 in reasoning. Probably you will believe, test to kharab ho gaya. Fine, ho sakta hai, yeah. Might be, you might get a call at this score as well. But what would you do then? You will look at the total test and specifically at this reasoning section to figure out what exactly did go wrong in this test. हो सकता है ना कुछ तो खराब हुआ. What exactly was that? Was I stuck in a puzzle? Fine. Did I not capitalize on some easy questions because they appeared towards the end? हो जाता है ना. So you could not reach till question number 35. You were at 28 and the time got over. Things like that do happen. क्या हुआ था? And you will always figure out something. Until unless your concepts are so bad, you're so bad in puzzles, you're so bad in quant, कर ही नहीं सकते. उसमें तो अभी कुछ नहीं हो सकता. There are two things. So the problem is with thing number one, your knowledge. But if it's thing number two, your ability to convert your knowledge into marks, you will figure out something. कुछ ना कुछ समझ में आएगा. हाँ ये तो गलती है इसमें. I was making this mistake. Fix that. Still time for it. ऐसी चीज़ें 1-2 दिन में भी fix हो जाती हैं. देखो क्या कर सकते हो. Where you can improve and try and fix that. Write that down consciously. Take a note of those 2-3 observations that you have from a particular mock test and बिफोर सिटिंग फॉर द नेक्स्ट वन जस्ट गेट इट सो वेल सेटल्ड इनसाइड योर ब्रेन कि जब अगली बार बैठो तो खुद से वैसे होना चाहिए, स्पॉन्टेनियसली. यू आर नॉट मेकिंग दैट मिस्टेक अगेन, ये दोबारा नहीं करना है. जस्ट डू दैट एंड यू विल इम्प्रूव. ये जो दूसरी चीज़ है ना, इसको इम्प्रूव करना आसान है. टू लर्न टाइम्स विद डिस्टेंस एंड पजल्स एंड ग्रामर एंड एवरीथिंग इज स्टिल द टफर पार्ट. ईजियर पार्ट इज टू इम्प्रूव योर टेस्ट टेकिंग स्किल्स. यू आर देयर नाउ एट द स्टेज. बहुत मज़ा आएगा, जल्दी भी हो जाता है, इसमें इतना टाइम नहीं लगता है. बट यू हैव टू चेंज सर्टन थिंग्स, चेंज सर्टन हैबिट्स. कुछ गलत आते पड़ी हुई उनको ठीक करना पड़ेगा, कुछ भी हो सकता है, कैन बी एनीथिंग. सो यू रियलाइज दैट यू आर प्रॉब्ली डूइंग आरसी फर्स्ट इन इंग्लिश. आपको लगता है मेरे को अच्छा लगता है, बट देन यू रियलाइज यू आर लीविंग सम ईजी क्वेश्चंस टू बी डन इन द एंड विच इज नॉट वर्किंग फॉर यू क्लियरली. इन अ टेस्ट you do the other questions first and RC in the end, you realize your scores shoot up. Why? Probably this is the mistake you're making. So look at the data, look at the tests that you have taken in the last 10 days, 15 days, in the last 1 month, or the tests you'll be taking, and try and observe, try and zero in on the strategy that has been working for you, and just make sure that you have that broadly in your mind. You get the point? Specifically जो चीज़ आपके लिए काम कर रही हैं उनको करो. So if you are getting a 95+ in all the sections, there are things that are working for you. Do not have to change that. मत करो. If you try doing something in a particular test in a particular way and it doesn't work and something has been working for you, go back to that thing that was working for you. Something is not working for you. Fine. You're getting poor scores in a particular section. You change something, you suddenly get a much better percentile. It means what? It made a difference. All these are commonsensical things. So I'll not, do this that I just attempt the test on my whim. आज मेरा मन करा तो यहाँ से स्टार्ट कर दिया, आज मेरा मन करा वहाँ से स्टार्ट कर दिया, आज मैं किधर सो के उठा बेड से उस पर डिसाइड कर लिया क्या करने वाले. नो, हैव अ ब्रॉड स्ट्रेटजी, अ ब्रॉड फ्लेक्सिबल स्ट्रेटजी इन योर माइंड. वाई फ्लेक्सिबल? बिकॉज द पेपर माइट चेंज. सो यू आर अज्यूमिंग दैट इट विल बी लाइक 4-5 puzzles in reasoning. What if it's just 2? That's something flexible, but yeah, broadly that's there in your mind कि मेरे को ऐसे ही करना होता है. So I do miscellaneous questions first in reasoning and then go on to the puzzles. Some particular person, somebody else does something else. So for somebody else, some person would say, I'll do quadratic simplification first because I can do it really quickly, and then go to arithmetic, and finally I do DI. Somebody can do exactly the opposite, DI first, then arithmetic, and then ये बेकार वाले questions, छोटे-छोटे वाले तो मैं कर ही लूँगा. Get the point? So everybody has different strengths. So don't just think that somebody told me that this has to be done first, so I do that first. No. Figure out what's working for you. There's still time left for it, and then do it accordingly, right? Look at the percentile scores. This is really important. This is where you come to know about your weakness. और लोगों के comparison में आप कहाँ अच्छा या खराब कर रहे हो, only one thing can tell you: percentile scores. Another thing, when you look at total score, for example, you look at the total score, it's healthy, 93, 94 percentile you got. In one of the sections you are at 98, one section you are 94. Another section you are at say 78. It's like that. So this third section needs to be taken care of. Now this can be an aberration. This can happen in just one odd test. But you realize that one section is troubling you lagatar, continuously. Right? 2 sections all right. This is troubling you. What you can also do is that a total test would take 1 hour, 3 tests of 20 minutes each. You can take a few tests quickly of this one particular section. So for example, reasoning is troubling you. Just for example, right? You believe English and quant are sorted, I'm getting good score. This is the problem. What do? Leave those full-length mock tests for the next 1 or 2 days. छोड़ दो. What do you do now? You just take that 20-minute test. Take one. कितना time लगेगा? 20 minutes? 20-minute test. Analyze it. Analyze means again, बैठो उसके साथ देखो. What could I have done better in this? कहाँ अटक गया? क्या problem थी? क्या अच्छा नहीं करा? क्या कर सकता था? सिर्फ उस section के लिए. Take another one. बहुत जल्दी दे सकते हो. 20-minute test, 10-15 minute analysis, 20-minute analysis. You can take another one after an hour. No, एक दिन में कई सारे दे सकते हो उस तरीके से. Do that again. अगर consciously आपने अपने आप को कुछ lessons बताए हैं, this is my takeaway from here. This is my takeaway from here. It cannot happen that you don't improve. You cannot not improve. फर्क तो पड़ेगा ही पड़ेगा ना. बस उसी को ही execute करना है. पूरे मत दो. अब आप पूछोगे कि सेक्शनल कहाँ से आएंगे? कहीं से नहीं यार. एक और टेस्ट सीरीज ले लो. If yours is exhausted, there are so many companies. And buy another one. It's not a very costly product, but take those sectional mock tests किसी सेक्शन में जिसमें आप हल्के हो, जिसमें आप अच्छा नहीं कर पा रहे हो. So if they're not enough sectional mock tests, break a full length mock test and take that particular section. You get sectional percentile scores even for that. मिलेगा ना वो भी, वहाँ से हो जाएगा. But ट्राई एंड फिक्स द एरियाज वेर यू वीक. सब कुछ नहीं करो, टाइम लिमिटेड है. वेर यू फोकस, जहाँ पर आपको लगता है यहाँ रह सकता है, थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा एफर्ट लगा दो. सो आफ्टर डूइंग दिस एक्सरसाइज फॉर अ डे, probably taking 8 or 10 sectional mock test, sectional mock for that weak section, you will realize I'm getting better. So I was at like 75, 80, I'm now touching 90. It will certainly not become 99, but improve होगा. Then you go back to full length mock tests again. ठीक है, जहाँ प्रॉब्लम है you fix that first, थोड़ा सा उसको ठीक करा, थोड़ा सा लेवल पे लेकर आए, and then again you go back to the full length mock test. कर सकते हो ना, इतना मुश्किल नहीं है, ट्राई करके देखो. देखो, आई एम रिपीटिंग दिस. Acquiring knowledge when getting better at the subjects is always difficult. It takes time, patience, effort. This part, though it also requires time, patience, effort, everything, is still easier, and it can be fixed really quickly. But at times, when you talk about mock tests, you think of, oh, I heard that proper strategy. He said 4 mock tests daily, so I'll do that. That is okay. आप भी दे सकते हो 4, 2 भी दे सकते हो, 5 भी दे सकते हो, whatever. छोटा सा टेस्ट होता है. But what exactly do you need to do with that? That is really important. Take a test, analyze it well, try and figure out what I can improve in the next one. Take a note of it, make sure that it's there inside this, and when you sit for the next one, you implement those things. थोड़ी सी आदत बनानी होगी, वो चेंज करनी होगी, and this is difficult. This is the tough part. 3-4 बार, 5 बार, 10 बार you do that, and then you realize, no, suddenly I've left a bad habit. आपको पता है एक प्रॉब्लम आपको बार बार कर रही है. It can be anything. I'm so much in love with puzzles that I get stuck at a tough puzzle. हमेशा यही होता है. When मेरा पेपर खराब हो जाता है, कितने लोग के साथ प्रॉब्लम है. What do you need to do then? You need to take 10 sectional mock tests of reasoning, just the reasoning section, and you tell yourself consciously, कुछ भी हो जाए बॉस, अटकना नहीं है यहाँ पर. नहीं, I'll just look at all 35 questions. If I get stuck in a puzzle, I'll leave that after 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and I'll do the rest of the stuff. I will still get enough marks in reasoning because it's a good section for me. That I'll be through. मेरे को किसी ईगो टसल में नहीं पढ़ना है, मेरे को किसी से लड़ाई नहीं करनी है, ये नहीं सोचना है ये क्वेश्चन मैं नहीं छोड़ सकता. थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो दिस इज वन लर्निंग. दे कैन बी 50 learnings like that. So just make sure that whatever is the problem for you, you figure that out first, and only you can do that for yourself, and then you fix that quickly enough to make sure that you crack this test. This is all is required is this stage. Nothing new to be done. कुछ भी नया नहीं करना है, कुछ भी ऐसा जो परेशान करता है इसमें नहीं करना है. सिर्फ बेसिक सा रिवीजन हो सकता है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ मॉक टेस्ट. कैसे? यू बिलीव क्वाड्रेटिक के 5 क्वेश्चन आए एंड यू टुक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम सॉल्विंग देम. प्रॉब्ली इट्स टाइम टू सॉल्व 50 क्वेश्चंस ऑफ क्वाड्रेटिक और 100 क्वेश्चंस क्वाड्रेटिक बिफोर सिटिंग विद द नेक्स्ट मॉक टेस्ट. जस्ट दैट, नो अदर थिंग रिक्वायर्ड. कितनी फ्रीक्वेंसी होनी चाहिए? इट कैन बी 2, 3. इफ यू गॉट 10 hours in a day and dedicated to studies, it can be 3, 4, 5 mock tests as well in a day. It depends. If you got just 3 hours, so probably a day, a test a day, things like that. I mean, don't just take them like taking multivitamin pills and forget. No, take them, take the test, analyze it, have your learnings here on a piece of paper, keep them in your mind before going for the next one, appearing for the next one, and then try and implement it. This is how it works, and it works really, really well. It can be improved. काम करो इस पे, सब कुछ बढ़िया होगा. बहुत टाइम बचा हुआ है अभी, इस टाइम में इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं. सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम है सीजन का. नहीं, अभी जो हुआ है पास्ट में एडवेंचर उसको भूल जाओ. इफ़ यू डू वेल इन दिस टेस्ट, सब कुछ धुल जाएगा, सारे पाप धुल जाएंगे पास्ट के. अगर पाप किए हैं तो, अगर अच्छा किया तो कोई बात ही नहीं है, तो टेंशन का कुछ है ही नहीं. राइट? तो जस्ट कीप वर्किंग गाइज, गेट गोइंग, इट कैन स्टिल बी डन. एकदम फाइनल एंथू से एक फाइनल हथौड़ा मार दो उस पर, एवरीथिंग गुड. ऑल द बेस्ट.